Hello everyone and welcome back to Affinity for Commander. My name is Alex, and today we're taking a look at the absolute absurdity that is Nadu, the deck we've made for them, and why they are just, quite frankly, so insane. But first, as always, if you like any of the cards you see here today, or even want to purchase the full deck list yourself, then be sure to check out our lovely affiliate links in the description box below. Using any of them doesn't cost you anything extra, but does really help the channel out quite a lot. And as always, any and all prices you see here today on screen are provided by the fabulous cardmarket.com. Now let's take a look at why a little bird wizard is worrying people more than our favourite eldritch horrors. Nadu is a 3/4 legendary bird wizard with flying. He costs 1 generic, 1 blue, 1 green, and wizards, what is your problem with this mana cost? Seriously. They read, creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. This ability triggers only twice each turn. So importantly, Nadu gives this bit of text to all the creatures you control, including Nadu themselves. As a quick demonstration, let's say you have Nadu and an Elvish Mystic out. You cast a Tamiyo Safekeeping targeting your elf. The ability Nadu has given the elf will then trigger. You reveal the top card of your library, which turns out to be a land. So it goes into play. Untapped, importantly, that's kind of one of the broken bits about this ability. Or let's say instead it wasn't a land and instead a non-land card, and it then simply goes into your hand. Now, there are a few important points here. Number 1, this ability triggers whenever anyone or anything targets Nadu or one of your creatures. So even if Nadu is targeted and killed by a Doomblade, you are still getting at least one piece of value from that. Number 2, this effect is not drawing a card, it's putting a card from your library into your hand. And therefore, cards like, say, Thrasios that can be slowed down or even stopped by cards like Orcish Bowmaster's Smothering Tithe or Narset, yeah, Nadu gets around all of those effects. Number 3, this ability granted to each one of our creatures can trigger twice each turn. So having a card like Cura's Follower, for example, means we can tap the follower to target themselves. This will then trigger their own Nadu ability. After this is resolved, we get to do it again. And now we keep just doing it on each of our opponent's turns. Unchecked, this means that just with these 2 cards out, we're going 8 cards deep just through their own abilities every turn cycle, in a combination of putting cards into hand, or just putting land directly onto the battlefield untapped. Now moving on to the actual deck of Nadu. Now I haven't made them especially powerful, we're not pushing the CDH envelope just yet, but we still want them to have a good old time. Starting with the 1-drops, and oh boy do we have a lot. Mana Dorks in Birds of Paradise, Elvish Mystic and Delighted Halfling to get us to Nadu that turn earlier and give us creatures to actually target. Elvish Herder for some on-demand targeting, and Trample may become a factor later on. Overmaul Tracker to fight any small creatures, and just love the idea of Nadu punching out an Esper Sentinel. Sylvan Safekeeper to, well, keep our commander and important creatures safe, plus with the added benefit of being able to use all those extra lands to target our creatures to get more triggers. And the last 1-drop creature is a Venerated Rot Priest that is a horribly lovely piece of spice for this deck. Trigger from Nadu and slowly poison your opponents. Just love it. It is only one opponent though, so maybe best just to pick a target and stick with them, like a life gain deck for example. Now we do need some actual cards to target our stuff with, and we just can't be relying on our opponents now. Essence Flux is a great flicker card, March of Swirling Mists for mass targeting, as well as being a good versatile card to get rid of any creatures we don't like on our opponent's side for a turn. And keeping with the theme of keeping our commander safe, Swan Song, Silk Guard, Legolas's Quick Reflexes and 3 Steps Ahead all ensure Nadu's safety, with the Silk Guard also being able to target multiple creatures and 3 Steps Ahead being versatile to both counter a spell and target one of our own creatures and make a copy. And of course we are running the absolute all-star complete bonkers nuts stuff that is Shoko. 1 mana equipment that gives +1/+0, which is super, not the reason we're running it. No, we're running it because of this next line of text right here that means we can pass these little gloves around our creatures for free and get all the triggers from the Nadu ability. With Shuko out, you are just going to reveal the top X cards of your library times 2, which is the number of creatures you control, because all you're doing is just passing that equipment around, because that 0 equip ability targets the creature it's going to. I wonder if that's done anything to the price of this random uncommon. Oh dear. Well, I hope some people have some laying around from original Kamigawa. Moving on to the 2-drops, we've got some more ramp in Bloom Tender, who'll be tapped for Simic, Kyora's follower to not just untap our lands but also our creatures, and yes, the Nadu train never stops. And it's the same with Seeker of Skybreak and Affetto Alchemist, who can untap our mana dorks, or again, just, themselves. Now, we have already spoken about this, but essentially these guys can tap and untap themselves to create an infinite loop of untapping them, which is kind of meaningless, unless you have Nadu out, which can then make them be able to trigger that reveal ability twice of each of our opponent's turns. The only other creatures we have at 2 CMC are Ivy, Gleeful Spell Thief, to make our targeting spells even more value by getting them to target her as well. Lotus Cobra to really take advantage of all the lands entering directly from the top of our library. Spring Heartland Tuco is an interesting one. With the lands entering, we should have enough to pay for their ability to make more copies of our creatures, which can then either be targeted by our equipment or by our other creatures' abilities to keep the Simic value rolling. The last creature at 2 CMC is of course Thassa's Oracle, that I will stop playing when it stops being good. And considering we're drawing so much of our deck, the combos in here do kind of relying on our library being empty, and therefore the Oracle kind of just making logical sense. But we do need some protection for our bird, as without him, the deck kind of sucks. Counterspell, Heroic Intervention, and Muddle the Mixture are all here to keep our Birdman safe, with the Muddle also pulling double duty as a boots tutor. Up to the 3 CMC slot, and we've got such a general value to take advantage of Nadu's triggers and also tutor up our equipment. Our creature tutors are Trophy Mage to grab us the Umbral Mantle, also at 3 CMC, Tribute Mage to grab our boots, and Trinket Mage to grab the Shuko. All 0 equip cost, all completely broken in this deck. Unctus Grand Megatect also has a targeting ability. Now, yes, it does cost us mana or 2 life, but that's a small price I'm willing to pay. The other creatures here all revolve around the land that Nadu's ability puts into play. Corso Crufix for life gain and info on what we're revealing. Tireless Tracker and Tireless Provisioner give us help with artifact tokens for either draw, life gain, or mana later on. And finally, Scoot Swarm is just an absolute beast in this deck, as whenever a land enters you either get a 1/1 or a copy of the insect, so numbers of creatures exponentially go up. But if you've got any of the 0 equip cost artifacts out, you just need to hit a land on the first 2 of the Nadu triggers to essentially start a chain reaction of just getting 1/1s and targeting equip and trigger the Nadu effect over and over and over again. Now yes, you could potentially strike out by hitting 8 non-land cards in a row. This, however, is statistically very unlikely. And this is obviously also a very non-deterministic combo and can be messed with and messed up most of the time. This will just draw your deck though with enough lands in play. Back to the 3-drops, we've got protection and triggers from Ghostly Flicker, Archdruid's Charm for targeting, fighting, and tutoring if needs be. Retreat to Korahelm to keep untapping our mana dorks, the Nadu triggers, plus more mana available for the cards that we're putting into our hand. And the last card is Whir of Invention, because just in case I haven't made it clear yet, this card right here, plus Nadu, is what breaks the deck. Now up to the 4-drop slot, and we're inserting quite a few clone effects in here, because whilst that limiter of twice per turn is still fine, doubling that effect is oh just so good. Irenicus' Vile Duplication, Nano Gene Conversion, Spark Double, and Vesuvian Diplomacy all make non-legendary copies of our Bird Commander, letting us get double triggers of any creature being targeted. To help with targeting, we've also got Displacer Kitten to flicker our creatures whenever we're casting a non-creature spell. The now super cheap Oracle of Moldiah lets us know what we're flipping from the top and lets us play additional lands to boot. And finally, we've also got Naru Mayhem Master Wizard. Now, Naru might be nice just to be able to double up on that March of Swirling Mists, but is primarily here for her interaction with Ghostly Flicker. The way it works is you target 2 creatures with the Flicker to trigger Nadu's abilities. Let those triggers resolve, then flash in Naru. She enters and copies the Ghostly Flicker that's still on the stack. Her copy now should target herself and Nadu. This triggers Nadu's effect again, let those resolve, and Naru's copy then resolves. Naru and Nadu are both flickered, and we're right back to where we started, with Naru entering and copying the original Ghostly Flicker that's still on the stack, but now this is a new Nadu, and a new round of effects can now occur. This gives you the infinite Nadu triggers to put every land in your deck onto the battlefield, and put the rest of the non-land cards in your deck into your hand, and then stop at any time you like by simply letting the original Ghostly Flicker finally resolve. Then, just play Thassa's Oracle or Lab Maniac for the win. Your choice, really. Now we're moving up to our quote-unquote top end of the curve, which there isn't a lot there, but they are definitely going to be what we call our supplementary win conditions, and cards that, whilst might not win us the game directly, definitely ensure victory. Seaborn Muse to be able to cast all our spells on our opponent's turn, plus more tap and untap and target shenanigans. Tezzeret the Seeker to seek out our 0 mana equipment, and then tap or untap our signets, I guess. Honestly, he's literally here for just that minus ability. Tatioba Benthic Druid to then be drawing more cards from all that lands being put into play thanks to the Nadu effect. And finally, one of our other potential win cons in Rampaging Baloths, because when I say we make a lot of landfall triggers, it gets silly very quickly. And making 4/4s rather than the 1/1s of Scoop Mob are a definite bigger threat for our opponents to have to deal with. Now, moving on to the lands of this deck, we need cards that have protection and can also target our own creatures as well. Minamos, School at Water's Edge, can untap any legend for pseudo-vigilance, but is still just here for that target ability. Okina, Temple of the Grandfathers, has the same idea behind it. A +1/+1 is nice, but we want that trigger. Plaza of Heroes gets to pull double duty as both target enabler and protecting of our important Birdman. And lastly, Tolaria, a very old and weird card, but it taps for blue, comes in untapped, and lets us get a cheeky Nadu trigger for free just by tapping the land itself. Overall, Nadu is a completely unfair and completely broken commander. Even when targeting to get rid of them, that person is still getting some value from them. And with the number of 0 mana cost equipment we have and the amount of elves you can just play to get through your deck by just 0 equipping your way through it, is quite frankly just a little bit silly. Which kind of brings to one of the main issues that people will have with the deck, is the fact that this effect can't be shortcutted. Play Thassa's Oracle, then in response to trigger, cast your Demonic Consultation, and then that's fine. We're good, you win. I don't need to see you exile your entire library while you search for a Fiddlefip that you're just not playing. But Nadu's triggers will have an impact on the board state, especially if you have anything on your board that has landfall, and therefore must be done correctly and in a set order. This must be kept track of to keep the game state accurate and reliable, and you do not want to be that person sat there just playing solitaire with yourself, because trust me, it's really boring for everyone else to watch. So do play Nadu, they are exceptionally fun and a very powerful commander, but just maybe don't be surprised when the rest of your pod's eyes roll out of their head when you present your commander to them. I wonder if Nadu's broken effects are having any type of change on any other formats. Oh dear. Anyway, that will be the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. How powerful do you think Nadu actually is? Do you think they're ban-worthy? Or do you just think they're the new flavour of the month? Whatever your thoughts, leave them in the comments below. As always, all Affinity for Commander content is made possible thanks to support of our amazing patrons. You guys are truly awesome. If you too like to become a patron of the channel yourself and get access to exclusive EDH related rewards, then be sure to check out our link in the description box below. You can also support the channel through the quick and easy ways, liking this video, subscribing, commenting, and sharing it on your preferred social media platform. But as always guys, I've been Alex, and I'll see you next time.